This time is limited to comments that are on items on today's agenda. Those wishing to speak on a posted agenda item, now is your opportunity. Please come forward to the microphone to provide your comments and state your name for the record. You'll be limited to 3 minutes for your comments. Is there anyone who would like to provide public comment on today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the first public comment period, and I'll turn it back to Ms. Parrish.
Item number 2 is action to approve the agenda with the deletion of any items. Mr. Chair, agenda is in order for approval.
Thank you. I wanted to note that Councilman Barone, unfortunately, because of a death in the family, won't be joining us today, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 3 is action to approve the minutes of the March 14, 2024 meeting. Mr. Chair, the minutes are in order for approval.
So moved.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of the March 14th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4 is discussion and possible action to reschedule the May 9, 2024 board meeting or take action as deemed appropriate. Mr. Chair, as we do every year in May, we reschedule the board meeting so that we can accommodate the board meeting for RTC so they can present their budget in accordance with NRS at the May meeting. So staff recommends that we reschedule the meeting from May 9th, 2024 to May 23rd, 2024 in this BCC chamber.
All right, does that work for members of the board? Councilman? Yes. All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, there's a motion to move the May meeting from the 9th to the 23rd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5 is to discuss the general manager's monthly report. Mr. Chair, just had a couple of projects that wrapped up construction I just wanted to make the board aware of today. The first project is in the south part of the Las Vegas Valley near Blue Diamond and I-15. This is the Blue Diamond Wash Arville to I-15 storm drain. The kind of blue area you see there is special flood hazard area that flows through this area. We'll be picking that water up at Arville, taking it up to Robindale, and then east to I-15. So that special flood hazard will be removed. We're going to be sending studies into FEMA to remove that special flood hazard area with the completion of this project. You can see it kind of goes through the backyards of those homes there.
Is the large area there, is that parcel going to be turned over for development, as I understand?
That's actually a county-owned parcel. It is a little detention area that was built by the commercial subdivision to the south to control their drainage, so that is going to go away and free that land up.
Is that in your district?
No, it's actually in Commissioner Naft's district.
Oh, okay.
But I believe it's either under construction or will be moving in that direction at some point.
All right. Well, anyway, that'd be a great piece for us to do lots of things. Look, thank you.
Next slide, Andrew. So we used both round pipe on this job, which we don't use very often anymore, but we could on this project, and some rectangular box culvert and open channel. This project was designed by Westwood Engineers, and it was managed by Clark County. TAB Contractors was the contractor, and it's about a $7.2 million bid. The next project is the Harry Reid Airport Peaking Basin East Outfall. So this is right near the Thomas and Mack Center, just north of Harry Reid Airport. This is an outlet for a future detention basin, which is the red area that you see there. That detention basin is under design. It's actually a peaking basin is under design. Now it's going to be done in conjunction with the improvements at Paradise and Tropicana with the grade separations there that are being done to improve traffic flow through this area. So we built the outfall first, and it'll be ready to go once the detention basin is ready to come in. Next slide. This was designed by CH2M Hill, or CH2M, sorry, they changed their name. It was managed by Clark County, and the contractor was Las Vegas Paving, about a $9.2 million bid. Now you can see in the bottom slide there was a lot of traffic through this area, so I'm really glad to have this project done, especially when events at the Thomas and Mack were occurring. There was a lot of traffic coming through here, so glad to see this project wrapped up. And that's it, if there's any questions.
All right, any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, turn back to you, Mr. Parrish.
Part 2 of your agenda is the consent agenda. These are items 6 through 12 and are considered to be routine and may be acted upon in one motion.
All right, I'll entertain a motion. There is a motion from Mayor Goodman to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Part 3 of your agenda is discussion items. Item 13 is Pittman Sunset, Burns to Foster Phase 2, Boulder Highway Crossing, City of Henderson. Item 13A is action to accept the project presentation, and item 13B is action to approve and authorize the chair to sign the interlocal contract for construction. We do have a project presentation prepared for this item, and Mr. Vance Skidmore with Atkins is going to present today.
All right, so I'm here to present on the Pittman Sunset Burns to Foster Phase 2. All right, so this project is located near Boulder Highway and Sunset Road. It's been adopted into part of the Reimagine Boulder Highway for the city of Henderson. All right, so it's been divided into 3 phases. This is funding for Phase 2, which is the center phase there in red. The future phases are downstream along Burns Road and upstream along Sunset to Foster Street. So the sizes of the facilities here, it starts at the downstream part is a 20 by 6 reinforced concrete box. And then it continues across Boulder Highway and Sunset as a 15 by 7 box. And then there's a lateral going down Boulder Highway. It starts out as a 7 by 4 box and becomes an 11 by 4 box. And then there's a junction structure which ties into the Reimagine Boulder Highway facilities. Here's just an idea of what a reinforced concrete box is placed under the road. You'll also notice that there is a groundwater French drain system underneath it. Here's the project costs. So basically, construction is about $7.8 million. With design and construction management, it comes out to about $9.4 million. At this point, all the 90% design documents have been completed, all right-of-way easements have been obtained, and all necessary local and federal environmental permits have been obtained. The project is planned to be awarded a bid in June of 2024, and construction should start that same month. And the duration of construction is about 12 months. Any questions?
All right, any questions from the board? And Councilman Shaw, did you want to make a motion to, since it's your neighborhood?
I'd be happy to make the motion to approve that. Just as a point of interest, there was a connection there that had some issues, but we've solved that and are receiving cash from the bonding company to complete that project out.
Very good. So that was a motion to accept the project presentation and to approve and authorize the chair to sign the interlocal contract for construction.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 14 is Pittman Pabco, Water Street to Lake Mead Parkway, City of Henderson. Item 14A is action to accept the project presentation. Item 14B is action to approve and authorize the chair to sign the interlocal contract for construction. And again, Mr. Vance Skidmore is going to present on this project as well.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and present on the second project, also incorporated into Reimagine Boulder Highway for the city of Henderson. This is the Pittman Pabco system. Starts just south of Lake Mead Parkway and goes up to Water Street and connects into an existing storm drain at that location. All right, here's the project alignment. Like I said, it's located on the west side near the frontage road most of the way, and that was a request of the city of Henderson to maintain greater access to Boulder Highway. Here this starts out as a 6 by 5 reinforced concrete box, goes to a 6 by 6 concrete box. Here's a standard presentation of an RCB box installation. All right, so construction is about almost $8 million. With construction management and design, the whole project is about $9 million. At this point, all the design documents are complete to the 90% level. All right-of-way and easements have been obtained, and all necessary local, state, and federal environmental permits have been obtained on the project. Similar to the Pittman Sunset, award of bid is in June of this year. Construction should start that same month, and duration is about 12 months. Any questions?
Very good. Any questions from the board?
I had a question. So on something like this, do we announce what we think the bid should be, or we just how do we know when it's too much, I guess is my question.
So in this particular project and the previous project, these are actually construction manager at risk projects. So the contractor's already been selected by the city of Henderson and based on qualifications, and a cost has been determined. What Las Vegas Paving is the contractor's going to charge us, so that's the numbers that are being represented in them. So there's no bid on these two projects.
Very good. All right, Councilman Shaw, would you like to make the motion again?
Happy to make this motion. I'm pleased that we're actually not reimagining, we're actually doing something. Because we're still in the reimagining stage of Boulder Highway. We're not sure how that reimagining will turn out, but we're glad we're doing it. So I'll make the motion to approve.
Well, after you're done, let's go farther north and do the county portion.
Amen to that. All right, there is a motion on the floor to accept the project presentation and to approve and authorize the chair to sign the interlocal contract for construction for the Pittman Pabco Water Street to Lake Mead Parkway project. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 15 is action to adopt the flood control master plan update for the Las Vegas Valley and find that the MPU is the most cost-effective structural and regulatory means for correcting the existing problems of flooding within the area and dealing with probable effects of future development. Mr. Chair, this is a public hearing. We've been working for about 18 months or so on this master plan update. We're required by NRS to update the master plans every 5 years, so this is the 5-year cycle for the Las Vegas Valley. We do have a presentation prepared for this item, and Ms. Emily Thornley with Atkins will be presenting today.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here and allowing me to present on the Las Vegas Valley Flood Control Master Plan update. I'm Emily Thornley with Atkins Realis. So as Steve was saying, the Nevada Revised Statute requires that this is updated every 5 years. And the purpose of this update is to add new information, assess the progress that has been made over those last 5 years, and to recommend any changes. So as this effort, we work really closely with Regional Flood Control District and the entities within this valley, which is City of Las Vegas, City of North Las Vegas, City of Henderson, and Clark County. Atkins Realis was the sub-consultant on this project, and we would like to acknowledge Westwood and Atlas for their contributions to complete this project. In total, the watershed area covers 1,651 square miles. And of that, 621 is assumed to be developed in the ultimate condition, and 1,030 square miles is assumed to be undeveloped and remain undeveloped in that ultimate condition. For this project, we've collected around 300 studies that were reviewed and incorporated into the master plan. You can see in the legend here the colors for the different years along with the studies that we've collected in each of those years. We've also collected 116 hotspots, and those are shown in those red polygons on this map. Hotspots are known flooding issues that we've received from the entities, their staff, and their partners, and those should help address current flooding issues or future flooding issues. So for the master plan, there's pretty prescribed steps that we follow. The data collection was talked about on those previous slides. Then we move into the hydrology, which gets us flows, which are used to size facilities and come up with a facility plan. Sometimes those new facility alignments require changes in the hydrology, so that's a cyclical process between those two pieces. So once we have a final facility plan, we move into the cost estimate to come up with some proposed costs for those facilities to be constructed, and then the existing value of the facilities that are already constructed. And then finally, we move into the report stage of the project, which comes up with these maps, which are used over the next 5 years to construct facilities and do maintenance if needed. So all of this is done in a GIS master plan approach. Regional Flood Control District has been very proactive about using GIS, which is the science of where. They have a Google Maps-like interface, which allows users to view the current flood control master plan to see like what's in your area. Are you going to have flood control in the future? Do you already have flood control protecting you? So we build upon that foundation that they have made to update this master plan. And something interesting for this go-around is there was a web-based ArcGIS Pro portal, which was hosted by Regional Flood Control District. That allowed Regional Flood, Atkins Realis, and our subs to view, edit, and make changes to all of these GIS layers simultaneously, and allowed a lot of interactive work as we moved through this project. You can see some of the shapefiles or some of the data that was collected and used in this GIS database. One thing to note about the land use, we did account for SNWA's non-functional turf removal with this update, so it accounts for kind of some higher runoff because of those turf removal areas. So ultimately, all of that technical data goes into creating this facility summary, which is about 4,200 regional flood control facilities. That equates to about 804 miles, and of that, 3,400 are existing facilities, which are shown in blue on your map, and 800 are still proposed facilities, which are shown in red. And that also includes 113 debris and detention basins. So to break that down a little bit further, 804 miles of the conveyance facilities, that's 543 are constructed already, and 270 miles are to be constructed. If we equate those to dollars, that's about $6 billion in existing value of facilities and $3,617 million in proposed construction cost of those conveyance facilities. There's 113 debris and detention basins. 87 of those are already constructed, and 13 of those need to be expanded or upgraded. And there's 26 that still need to be constructed. In dollars, that's about $625 million in existing value and $343 million in proposed cost for those detention basins. Over the last 5 years, we've constructed around 57 miles of new conveyance facilities and 9 new detention basins, and that's a value of about $564 million. So as we move into these entity groups, there's 12 watersheds that cover the whole valley. And the watershed boundaries don't necessarily follow political boundaries. So the watersheds are assigned to each entity group to help program and provide maintenance funds for those areas. So the progress that has been made over the last 5 years isn't necessarily what's been done in the city of Las Vegas, but it's with what's been done in their watersheds. So City of Las Vegas is in charge of programming Upper Northern, Gowan, and Central watersheds. The progress made in those last 5 years are 24 miles of new conveyance facilities, 2 new detention basins, which is a value of $250 million. In those 3 watersheds, 174 miles of conveyance facilities and 22 detention basins have been constructed to date, and that's an estimated value of $2,185 million. And there's 87 miles of conveyance facilities and 5 detention basins to be constructed at an estimated proposed construction cost of $1,419 million.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, go ahead.
How come the northwest one is just so much larger than every other one? Is that just the way that the basin is topographically set up?
Yeah, so most of that basin is undeveloped and it covers the mountainous region. So it could be broken up further, but really only the small piece south of the 95 marker is developed. So there's really no point in breaking it down further, I would say.
Got it, thanks. Mayor Hardy?
Thank you. I'm intrigued by your turf removal nexus with your detention basins. Is there that nexus? Do we get a return flow credits by catching the water in the detention basins that makes up for the turf removal of saving water?
So the detention basins don't account for return credits, but and I don't know if does the stormwater count for return
No.
credits?
No, it does not.
Yeah, the stormwater does not count for return credits either. So all of this work does get water back to the Lake Mead, but we do not get any of credits for any of this work.
So how much of the turf removal is affected then by creating a new detention basin?
Go ahead.
The turf removal is not really connected to the detention basins. It's really a water saving concept, but it does affect the size of the detention basins because if there's less turf, then there's more runoff generally because turf is really good at absorbing rainfall. And so with the turf reduction program, we've noticed that there's been increases in runoff as we're calculating it because that turf has now been replaced by decorative rock or something else. So that's why the turf is being mentioned in here. It's not really intended to be part of the conservation. It's just how does that affect our ability to design and construct these basins? Does that make sense?
You see where I'm going, though. You know, what's the negative thing that we have to account for when we remove our turf?
Well, in our view, from a flood control point of view, the negative is that we see an increased amount of runoff. And so our detention basins and storm drains need to be a little bit bigger to account for that. So that's what we're including in.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
So on that, do detention basins, the water that's maintained there, does that go into groundwater, which then we can use later?
Well, some of it will seep into the groundwater, but not much. Most of it just runs off. The beauty of the Las Vegas Valley, though, is that our reservoir for water is Lake Mead, and all the water runs back into the Lake Mead. So in essence, we are catching the rainfall that's running out of the city and going back into the lake and reusing it as it gets pumped out and back up to the faucets.
So yes, Mayor, you don't have to get rid of your grass in Boulder City.
Actually, go ahead.
So, and then moving on to City of North Las Vegas, which programs lower Northern Las Vegas Wash, Range Wash, Lower Las Vegas Wash, and Apex Watershed. The progress made there in the last 5 years includes 14 miles of new conveyance facilities, 4 new detention basins at a value of $122 million. And in those 4 watersheds, 91 miles of conveyance facilities and 12 detention basins have been constructed to date at an estimated value of $1,190 million. And there's 88 miles of conveyance facilities and 9 detention basins to be constructed at an estimated proposed construction cost of $1,223 million. Moving to Clark County, which programs Tropicana Flamingo and Duck Creek Blue Diamond watersheds. In the last 5 years, 10 miles of new conveyance facilities and 2 new detention basins have been constructed at an estimated value of $88 million. And then in those 2 watersheds, 161 miles of conveyance facilities and 26 detention basins have been constructed at an estimated value of $2,099 million, and 63 miles of conveyance facilities and 6 detention basins are to be constructed at an estimated proposed construction cost of $925 million. And then finally, with City of Henderson, programs Pittman and C1 watersheds. With the annexation of the El Dorado Valley area recently, this watershed has been added to the master plan as well. And in the last 5 years, the progress made includes 9 miles of new conveyance facilities and 1 new detention basin, and at $104 million for that value. And then in those 3 watersheds, 108 miles of conveyance facilities have been constructed and 27 detention basins at an estimated value of $1,247 million. And there's 32 miles of conveyance facilities and 6 detention basins to be constructed at an estimated proposed cost of $394 million. So this is just a summary of all of the entities that we've talked about before. And so in total, the existing value of all those existing facilities is $6,721 million. And the total proposed cost to construct the remaining facilities is $3,961 million. That concludes my presentation on the flood control master plan updates. Does anybody have any more questions?
Thank you, Ms. Thornley. Any other questions from the board? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Emily. Mr. Chair, if I could read a recommendation into the record.
Okay.
Staff would recommend that you adopt the master plan. Oh, sorry, we need to open the public hearing.
No, sorry. We're going to open the public hearing on agenda item number 15. Anyone wishing to provide public comment, please step forward to the microphone, state your name, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public comment period on agenda item number 15.
Thank you. With that, staff would recommend that you adopt the master plan update of the Las Vegas Valley as an amendment to the master plan and find that the MPU is the most cost-effective structural and regulatory means for correcting existing problems of flooding within the area and dealing with the probable effects of future development. Please note that the MPU will not become effective until it's adopted by Clark County and the cities of Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, and Henderson. And that would be staff recommendation.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
Let's move to approve agenda item 15, flood control master plan update, Las Vegas Valley.
Very good. There's a motion on the floor.
And include the language that he just read to you.
Follows.
And include your language.
Thank you.
Perfect.
NRS is pretty big.
Including the staff recommendation. All right, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Very good. The motion carries.
Thank you. Item 16 is action to approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget and authorize the general manager to request the Clark County Chief Financial Officer to submit the budget to the state on behalf of the district or take action as deemed appropriate. It is time to present the budget. We have prepared a presentation for this. Ms. Jessica Honor will be presenting today.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm pleased to present the district's proposed budget for fiscal year 2025. The agenda backup includes detailed information that supports the budget. The district's budget includes funds that address operations, maintenance, debt, and capital projects. The tentative budget is expected to be filed with the Nevada Department of Taxation prior to April 15th, and a final budget will be filed on or before June 1st. As in the past, the budget will be submitted to the state with the Clark County budget submittal. As part of the budget process, historical analysis of sales tax, as well as economic projections, are made by the district to estimate future revenues. This chart shows a rolling 12-month view of sales tax revenue received from inception to date, where each month is a sum of the previous 12 months. Since 2012, Southern Nevada's economy included strong employment and population growth, robust consumer spending, increased personal income, and high taxable sales. However, starting in 2020, you see the impacts due to the pandemic, followed by a very sharp rise in sales tax revenue. In the last few years, we have received record sales tax receipts. However, since sales tax is the district's primary source of revenue, we are mindful the adverse changes in the economy can impact future tax receipts. The next slide provides a more detailed view of sales tax focusing on fiscal year 2022 and forward. The gray bars represent actual sales tax revenue for fiscal years 2022 and 2023. The green bars represent our revised estimate for fiscal year 2024 and our projected sales tax for fiscal year 2025. As shown in the chart for fiscal year 2024, we project sales tax revenues at $161.8 million, a 1.8% increase over the FY24 budget of $158.9 million. In fiscal year 2025, we anticipate sales tax revenues at $167.1 million, which is a 3.3% increase over the FY24 revised estimate. Resources. In fiscal year 2025, district resources are estimated to total $171.2 million as shown in the chart. As this illustration shows, the largest share is the district's primary funding source. This is 1/4 of 1% of Clark County sales tax. As I previously mentioned, sales tax revenues are projected to be $167.1 million. Additional resources are budgeted at $4.1 million, which is primarily comprised of interest earnings. Expenditures. In fiscal year 2025, we are requesting expenditure authority in the amount of $520.6 million for all district funds. As shown in the chart, pay-as-you-go projects, which are funded directly from sales tax revenues, represent 70% or $362 million. Projects from existing bond funding are budgeted at $76 million or 15% of expenditures. In the 2022 budget, there are no new bond proceeds programmed. Combined pay-as-you-go and bond funding expenditures total 84% of the district's expenditures at $437.7 million. Later in the presentation, I will discuss capital project expenditures in more detail. Now, continuing on to the district's total expenditures. Debt service includes principal, interest, and other payments relating to our 6 outstanding bonds. We are requesting debt service expenditure authority in the amount of $48.2 million to meet debt obligations. For our annual maintenance work program, we are requesting budget authority in the amount of $22 million to provide funding for flood control maintenance. This program is designed to ensure that flood control maintenance in the master plan are maintained in a manner that maximizes their useful life and ensures their operation at design capacity during a storm event. While nearly 98% of our expenditures are directed to flood control infrastructure, only 2% is programmed for operations, which accounts for salaries, benefits, professional services and supplies, and operating capital. We are requesting operating authority in the amount of $12.6 million. These 5 components make up the $520.6 million in total expenditures. This slide further illustrates district operations. It shows a relationship between sales tax revenue, operating expenditures, and the number of full-time employees for fiscal year 2017 through 2023, including a projected view for fiscal years 2024 and 2025. The blue bars represent sales tax revenue. The gray bars at the bottom of the chart represent district operating expenditures, and the white line represents the number of full-time equivalent employees. Additionally, operating expenditures will remain at less than 10% of sales tax revenue, as they have throughout the district's history. Project expenditures. As I mentioned earlier, approximately $438 million is budgeted for our ongoing and future flood control projects. This is by far the largest share of our total expenditures. Ongoing project commitments for open interlocal contracts are budgeted at $253.4 million. Future projects are budgeted at $184.3 million, which includes pay-as-you-go resources directly from sales tax revenues, existing bond proceeds, and up to $1.7 million for new local drainage projects. Flood control projects continue to be designed and constructed throughout Clark County. Ongoing projects include 54 design projects and 15 construction projects. Including items on this agenda, funded open interlocal contracts total nearly $420 million. By the end of the current fiscal year, approximately $167 million will be spent on those ongoing projects, and there will be $253.4 million remaining to pay. If we complete these ongoing projects in fiscal year 2025, we estimate an economic benefit for our community of over 3,000 jobs will be created or sustained. Future projects will be specifically identified and prioritized in the 10-year construction program, which is scheduled to be presented to the board in June. This slide provides a summary of the district's proposed budget. The budget before you today, if approved, will give the district expenditure authority totaling $520.6 million. Additional details are in your backup, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Any questions? The board?
Okay.
Commissioner?
So I'm sure there's a simple explanation, but if we make 160 million and we spend 437 million, where does it come from?
That's my
It
question.
comes from existing.
I want you to be on my side.
It comes from existing fund balance. So a lot of the projects we have are encumbered right now, so it's basically just money sitting there, but some of it's set aside, some of it's not.
And would that be from bonds and things that we've approved in the past?
Yeah, both bonds and then just sales tax that we haven't spent yet.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman,
All right.
furthering this, do we get, oh, it was behind, well, I enjoy
Take my
sharing
microphone.
with the commissioner here. Do we get any federal funds for any of this BLM money, anything?
We
Tell
have not
us.
in several years.
Well, we've had a small brick funding. It's a flood mitigation program through FEMA. We've got a small grant through them, but it's very difficult to get federal funding for flood control unless you're doing a Corps of Engineers project. We did a large Corps project in the early 90s and early 2000s. It was a $300+ million project, but since then we have not done another one. And so we're getting all this funding through the federal government for infrastructure, but
Yes.
it generally flows, in flood control, it flows to the Corps, so you need a Corps project to take advantage of that. So it is difficult, but we always watch for it. We always continually looking for opportunities, but it's few and far between for flood control.
So you do have someone from our delegation looking into this all the time? Because to me, the income, you income cautiously and you see the expenditures, and to be on submitting a budget like this, I'm sure it's been consistent with years past.
Yes.
And affected somewhat by, I know cement has doubled. Where's that inflationary piece just built in?
It is. We deal with that during the 10-year plan process, we deal with inflation for the projects in that. So that'll be coming at the June meeting.
Okay, thank you.
There is some revolving fund type of programs the federal government's setting up for flood control, which is new. Both FEMA and the Corps are setting those up. But they're really just low interest loans that we would have to pay back. It's not a grant program. And the Corps just does not do grants. They want money and they want to build things. They don't want to give the money to other people to build things. So.
All right. Any question? Councilman Shaw?
Just a couple of points and questions. It might be helpful for us, because we don't use zero-based budgeting, to show fund balances that are
Sure.
carried forward.
Absolutely.
So that, for example, on maintenance, I'm sure we still have some reserve funds in our maintenance category that we're carrying forward, as well as capital improvements.
Okay.
Also, I guess, congratulations. I notice your full-time employee count hasn't changed in the last, 6 years, 7 years? So if we could get the county to be on that same program, that would be really helpful for everyone. So that's really pretty amazing. Then on our reserve funds, do we just invest those with the state? Where are those currently sitting?
Yes, so right now we have about $20 million sitting in just reserved funds for operations. Some of that will get pushed to our CIP program next fiscal year, and then
Okay.
some of it we just keep as reserve. We keep about 8 to 10%, and it sits in the Clark County interest pool.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
I don't think the county could probably operate on 28 employees, but we'll do our best. Any
are
other comments or
streamlined.
questions? All right, with that, I'll go ahead and entertain in motion to approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget and authorize the general manager to request the Clark County Chief Financial Officer to submit the budget to the state on behalf of the district.
So moved, as you stated.
Very good. Motion on the floor. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And item 17 is comments by the general public.
Very good. This is the second time set aside for public comment before the Regional Flood Control District. Anyone wishing to provide public comment with regards to matters before the Regional Flood Control District, please step forward to the microphone, state your name, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the second public comment period, and we are adjourned. We'll get started with the Regional Transportation Commission in about 5 minutes.
Thank you.